This is KUGAN CASSIUS for Rifle TV in association with MTK Global. We're in Philadelphia for fight night. It's not fighting tonight.
Yeah.
Or ever again.
I'm done, yeah.
George Groves, how are you, mate?
I'm good. Very good. Yeah, good.
You've obviously come out to support Luke Campbell.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's got a 10 rounder tonight, but there is a bigger picture after this for Luke. He's obviously in line for a shot, possibly Mikey Garcia, see what happens with his Spence fights this week, but he's ready again.
Yeah, no, he's definitely in and amongst it, you know. He's, I don't think he's got a clear and decisive route to the top for his next world title fight, but it will be you know, inevitable that he's in a position to fight for one soon. He's been looking great in the gym. He's in great shape. Coming out here just can't get the job done. And yeah.
So we just step this way. Just step here and then. Loud people.
Yes.
It's all good. It's all good. Yeah. So yeah. Obviously Luke's kind of avenged the Mendy defeat now, so that's out of his system. So yeah, now it's kind of chasing the world title.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that was a tough fight to have, you know, when he's still bedding in a new relationship in terms of like working with Shane McGuigan. I saw it. You know, you can tell that when the fighter and the trainer sort of gel really well, and I felt Luke was looking great in the gym. You know, Shane was really getting the best out of him. But then he got that proof in the pudding by, you know, getting that great win and avenging that loss, you know, at the end of last year. So he's been in the gym. You know, he's fit, he's healthy, he lives a life, Luke. So he's an ultimate professional, and I'd like to see him really kick on this year. I think this is the year where he will fulfil his dream and win a world title. So you know, don't know too much about the opponent, to be honest. You know, we've had a little look at him today. Young, yeah. You know, he's got a couple of losses on his record, but I think he's a bit of a puncher. You know, so these sort of fights where, you know, there's a lot on the line, but there's not a lot of accolade on the line as such. You've got to stay switched on. You know, he's come away from home. You know, he's had to acclimatise this week. Stay focused. You know, stuff like making weight, making sure you're fit and that. But you know, it's easy for Luke Campbell. So yeah, just go out there and do a good job, solid job. You know, re-establish himself out here in the States, and obviously, you know, for all the viewers back home in the Sky as well.
Absolutely. So, what has George Groves been doing?
Absolutely nothing. I ran up the rocky steps today.
We saw that, yeah, we saw that.
Yeah, I put that on Instagram. You know, obviously, if I'd really planned ahead, I'd have got the grey tracksuit, the red headband, a little fluffy wig, you know, and I would have looked the absolute bollocks, but didn't. I just had the fat belly, the bald tweed, got to the top of the stairs, but absolutely nailed the celebration, the shadow boxing, celebrate. You know, I've seen that film. I've seen it a million times. I know every word inside out. Grew up with it.
Is this your first time in Philly?
First time in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
It might be the last time. You never know. So you know, I'm living my best life. You know, up and down the rocky steps. You know, reminiscing about childhood, following a fictional hero of mine.
I haven't spoke to you, obviously, since I think it was the last time I spoke to you was when you announced your retirement.
Okay.
And then I saw you at a press conference with Joshua Miller. But obviously since then, James DeGale has announced his retirement 2 weeks ago, or two and a bit weeks ago. Expected from your point of view?
Yeah, no, yeah, definitely expected. You know, I bashed him, like I gave him a lot of stick fight on, you know, the night he lost, and then a couple of days later I was at the middle of the press conference, and I should have nipped it in the bud then and left him be, but I gave him a bit more stick that day, and since then he's retired, and rightly so. He said, you know, I think he said that he ain't got it no more, which was, you know, plain to see. It happens to many fighters. So, you know, he's had a long old career, successful career. He's had his injuries, he's had his ups and downs, and now is certainly the right time for him to walk away from boxing. So, best luck to him.
It's interesting how kind of rivals deal with other rivals retiring from the sport. Obviously, in the heat of the moment, I suppose things can be said, and when you think about it, I mean, you know, you've kind of conducted yourself in a half and half way in terms of kind of giving the credit as well. but then you got like
yeah. I mean, I've got respect for him. I have so much respect for James DeGale. I hate him, absolutely despise him, and likewise, I'm sure he despises me. Yeah, because
it's over now, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's not. It's not even a boxing thing. I just don't like him. I just don't really like him. I don't like him at all. So it's not fake when I say, you know, you should be proud of your accomplishments, and you know, best of luck with your future endeavours or whatever. Because the respect's there. You know, I respect the fact that
as a fighter,
he stepped up to the plate, and when his opportunities arrived, he took them. You know, you don't get many opportunities at an Olympic gold medal, and he went. He wasn't ranked at all. You know, most of the guys he bought, I think he had 5 fights out there, and 3 of them had wins over him, you know, but he won. Likewise with his world title shot, when it finally came along, he went over to the States and he nicked a decision. So fair play to him, do you know what I mean? For those achievements. When he tries to inflate them, I'll stick a pin in them. But it's boxing, it's an opinion sport. You know, if you say something enough times, maybe someone will believe it. So good luck to him with that. Respect, as I said, respect's there. It's just, and I still have to stick with the words of, we never have to hear from him again. That suits me just fine. So.
What did you make of Froch's comments towards the girl?
It was hilarious. I don't really know where that came from. Who upset Froch that morning? You know, because he's just got to give the obligatory answer of, yeah, well done, that'll do. You know, don't worry, Carl, no one's forgot you. You're on TV every week. You remind people of your achievements every week. Debatable whether he would have backed him up and smashed him. Maybe he will, maybe he wouldn't. We don't know. We'll never know because he retired.
Is Froch kind of doing this accidentally on purpose? Because I think a lot of people don't kind of probably get Froch's kind of strange humour in what he knows what he's doing when he's sending these things out and kind of putting it in. Cole knows exactly what he's doing.
Well, you know, you'd hope so. You'd hope so for his sake, and I don't know well enough on a personal level whether he's doing this to become that sort of pantomime villain, you know, that just keeps him relative. He knows he's gonna. He knows if he says something. Maybe he knows if he says something like that, he's gonna get a lot of headlines off the back of it. Or maybe he just can't help himself. Maybe it's just, you know, that God complex coming through, and you know, he's not getting enough praise, not getting enough cuddles. I don't know. You know, who knows? But it's entertaining. It's entertaining to say the least.
It's weird because they never fought, but they never even really come close to fighting. Like, it wasn't linked that heavily that they nearly fought. You know, like fights where obviously your rivalry goes from the amateur days with DeGale, but Froch and DeGale was never really what I call, it was talked about as a potential fight when Froch was champion.
So after he beat me, I think James DeGale that night won a final eliminator to fight for the IBF. So he was going to fight the winner of me and Froch. Obviously Froch won, so he was going to fight Froch. Froch strung it out for a good while. And I don't think DeGale really wanted to fight, because otherwise he would have done what I did. You know, I'm sure he's clever enough to know that you have to apply pressure, you know, and create a public demand for these sort of fights. And knowing who Froch is, he would have definitely, if there was a public demand for it as such, he would definitely have had to, out of pride, stepped up to the mark and fought DeGale. Which, who knows what sort of Froch we would have seen after that? Because it would have been a massive come down from Wembley Stadium, chinning me. You know, it is all downhill from there. You can't beat that. Do you know what I mean? So he did the right thing, bailing out, you know, on top after, you know, what must have been the most satisfying of wins. But part of him isn't satisfied because it's still, you know, years and years later he's through grit teeth. He can't just say the PC retirement speech of, yeah, well done mate, done your bit, off you go. I would have backed him up, smashed him. it's just so good. It's just so good. So maybe it is Cole and that's his way, and that's what his niche will be now. Do you know what I mean? Like, kids are gonna retire, and if Cole Froch doesn't call them out, they're going to be absolutely gutted. They're going to know that they didn't quite make it.
You haven't made it unless Froch has got something to say, yeah.
You know, there were some real funny ones at the time. I can't think of them now off the top of my head. But obviously not all to do with. I think one of the best ones was when Richard Attenborough calls it a day. Call them documentaries. I'd have backed you up, and I would have made the best documentaries. Yeah, good old Cole. Can't beat him.
But yeah, I remember around that time. I know kind of it was a fight that as fans we kind of wanted to see that DeGale FROCH fight, but it just never really seemed kind of after that fight with yourself that really that fight was ever kind of close to happening on Cole's side.
Yeah, no, I mean, from a publicity point of view, like you probably had a marketing point of view, you'd have needed a couple of fodder fights. Maybe FROCH would have had a low-key fight before going into another domestic clash that would have been that would have had to have been a big occasion just to make it worth his while.
He was closer to the Chavez fight, actually. I think, yeah, that was a fight
I think that was probably a fight that he thought was much easier because that was probably the best form of DeGale's career. I think was when he became mandatory before he boxed for the belt against Durrell. He looked really good in
when he beat Brandon Gonzalez.
Was that who it was?
That was at Wembley.
At Wembley, yeah. That was probably the best performance I've seen of him. He was on point. He was sharp. He, I suppose he looked like a real contender. So probably FROCH was getting the advice of that you had a hard fight with Groves the first time. Second fight, it was you got the most satisfying of wins. Do you really want to go back into the cesspool of a domestic rivalry super fight where it could all go Pete Tong, and DeGale didn't want to carry the fight like I carried the fight, didn't want to sell the fight like I did, and that was evident because he never said nothing, didn't hear a squeak out of him. FROCH leaves it like 8 months, then retires, then DeGale has to wait for a purse situation, goes out and fights Durrell. I mean, in hindsight, it probably worked out quite well for him. Durrell was a much easier fight, and he got paid quite well for it. And he'd already done a deal with Al Heyman pre-hand, so he wasn't the away fighter going into that. He was on par with Durrell and won, and he had a couple of defences, and then he unified with he tried to unify with Badou Jack, and that was that. So he made the right decision. FROCH made the right decision for him, should we say.
Just the final one, George. Just on to kind of Eubank Jr. What do you think kind of Eubank Jr. does now? He, I think, made some comments the other day saying that he wanted to fight Canelo, and
yeah, I mean, why wouldn't you? He gets a massive payday for anyone who fights Canelo. He's not the biggest, any particular weight, and he's been boxing at middleweight now, regularly, junior. So I think he's starting to fill out into that weight class. He's probably going to be a natural size on Canelo. I mean, that would be a fight that he'd be a massive underdog, and I don't think he could win. But it's kind of one of them fights where you go out and give a good account of yourself. No foul, no harm done. I would recommend him to fight Canelo. I'll be looking at other world champions in similar division. Maybe Anthony Durrell. I'm not sure if he's going to have a rematch with Anthony Yildirim. I mean, the fact that I haven't seen that fight, but from what I've been told, it was pretty close. And obviously, Eubank blitzed him in a couple of rounds. So sometimes just those little markers in performances stand you in good stead for your camp, for your confidence, and make you rise to the occasion. So I've been looking at that WBC route if I was junior, but there are other options out there for him. He's a commercially fantastic fighter. He puts bums on seats when he's involved in big fights with the right opponent. So I think he's certainly entitled to. He's certainly entitled to a big fight now. If he's ready, he should go for it. In an ideal world, he probably could do with one more substantial fight, but not a world title fight, just to bed in his new relationship with his new coach, which is probably the first time he's had a proper coach, so he'll be learning on the job. Great win against James DeGale, but James DeGale was a shell of a fighter that he once was, so in many ways it was an easier fight for him. Than what maybe a tough rank club fight would be.
Okay, George Groves, thank you very much for talking to IFL TV.
You're starting to sweat, Kugan.
Do you know what? I've got a coat on here, which is a really bad cold.
They told me it was cold in Philly. It's so nice.
The weather when we got here was freezing, and now it's warm. So the coat's coming on.
Yeah, coat's off. Yeah.
Off. The arms are coming out.
Yeah. It's a good job. I saw you ready for the gym earlier. Get the guns going. You got to when the coat's got to come off.
Absolutely. George, thank you very much for talking to IFL TV, and no doubt we'll catch up with you soon.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm everywhere now. I'm
I know you are.
Sure these
You're
days.
around now.
More shows than you're at. Who would have thought it?
Top man. Thank you very much, mate.